There's a backlog of about 1,900 complaints of wage theft linked to enforcement of the state's minimum wage law out there. Complaints by low-wage laborers that their employers are not adequately paying them. They're starting to pile up during the Martinez administration, you might remember. Workforce Solutions Secretary Bill McCamley says he needs more investigators for complaints in order to continue to fulfill major provisions stemming from a 2018 lawsuit settlement. Michael, in 2018, the state's minimum wage was $7.50. In January 1st of this year, went up to $9 an hour. Do you think with this new increase, the number of these complaints are going to go up? We can only assume that what we have on the books now is probably just the tip of an iceberg anyway.
Yeah. This is a problem that really needs to be addressed. That large of a backlog is something that I don't think that we can just ignore. So I think that Secretary McCamley is right to say we really need some funds to actually substantively address this problem, because I don't think that it's going to go away. And so this is something that greatly impacts huge populations of our citizens. And so if we're not trying to get out in front of this, how much longer are we going to sit around and
One of the hidden parts of the labor force is our immigrant community.
Right.
And this is a big part of the complaints are coming from the immigrant community. He wants to beef that up. He's acknowledging that. Would you like to see a little bit more? Is that well understood in our state and our society?
Well, I think what he's proposing is, I think it makes sense what he's proposing now. I think the fact that he wants to do more is indicative of how he views us progressing on this issue in this state. And so we'll see where it goes.
Sure.
But I do much to your point. I think it is the tip of the iceberg, and I think we'll start to see a little bit more kind of build up.
Right.
Hopefully we don't.
Right. You don't use low-wage help in your shop. You are an employer. How do you see this from an employer's point of view? I mean, people are clearly gaming the system here and not willing to go there on this minimum wage thing.
Well, and I think it's going to be an issue for rural employers who maybe couldn't keep up. It's going to be an issue for restaurants. And I'm sure the Restaurant Association has a view on this. From my perspective, I'd like to see. I would guarantee there is a devastating backlog of something in every state agency we have, because that's how it's been running. I'd love to see everybody step up and say, I need one-time funding to make my agency competent.
Right.
I think that would go a long, long way to helping our state. I think this is potentially political gold. They've done press conferences on it. We're covering it. So we've raised the minimum wage. We're legalizing weed. We're going to go back and get back wages. This is coming up to be a nice, really nice active platform for Democrats in 2020.
Interesting point there. So for the idea that you could have, he wants to do education seminars for employers. Certainly that would be expected. More opportunities for financial settlements between employers and workers. That one interests me, this idea of financial settlements, because it could go one of two ways. Either do a high-profile dunking of someone, many lawsuits that says to the employer world, this is your fate if we find you, or you quietly settle behind the scenes. Which is the better way to go here?
It's actually hard for me to say. I will say that a part of me kind of cringed at the idea of the settlements, not because I don't think that realistically that's going to be what has to happen, but because I idealistically feel like you owe the money, and you owe it to these people, and they need the money. There is no question that people are living even more hand to mouth because they're not being paid fully. So there's a part of me that's like, you're on the hook for everything. But I recognize settlements are going to have to happen in order for people to get payment quickly. And that's always the tension in settlements. Will I get the money now, or do I have to finish fighting this?
Are we going to see an era of new TV commercials from lawyers claiming if you've been not getting?
We probably already do. I don't watch that much. But
sorry for that TV voice there.
The tough thing is that these are not cases that lawyers can always take.
Okay.
There are a couple of firms in town in Albuquerque who've done a really good job with this. But the truth is, we're talking about, in the big picture, small amounts of money to individuals.
Right.
And without state involvement, without sort of the larger community of people who are owed money, I'm leery to say class action, but without that larger force there, it can be very hard to go to an attorney and say, so I think I'm owed $2,000, will you take my case? I mean, it just is, how does that work out?
That's realistic. Yeah.
As opposed to state enforcement, I think this is an appropriate use of the state's hammer.
I appreciate that distinction. Dan, some might say this is probably shows that this was too much of a bite for some employers in some categories out there, meaning they were on the edge anyway. And then the minimum wage goes up, they couldn't get there, so to speak. And this is what we warned everybody about. You know what I mean? That kind of an angle. Would you agree with that, or is it just okay?
The law is the law. And one of the problems that I have, because we deal with this with some of our clients, right, that have this issue come up. I will tell you this, and I agree with Sophie, it's hard to say, go find a lawyer because we owe you $900 and then, it's
so sue me.
Right. So, I mean, but here's the problem, though. I think Workforce Solutions has shown an inability to work with the employers. And here's what I mean by that. These tactics, I'd like to see them say the first thing we're going to do is look at how many of these are fraudulent complaints. And we're going to get those off the books, and we're going to tell those people, look, you may think you were owed, maybe you should have been owed, but the law says ABC. In the times that I've seen this stuff, these guys come in with unfettered access and they rake the employer over the coals. And at the end of the day, I can just tell you, I've been part of this with clients where they just keep going after the employer for something that the employer clearly didn't do wrong. And then they start offering the employer the opportunity to settle for something they didn't do, which then entices more complaints to come. I think they need to do their job. Don't get me wrong. My point is, the folks that are fraudulently doing this, the folks that are taking advantage of these people, should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The people that have done things wrong because they don't understand or don't have the capability to understand, we shouldn't hammer them. We should work with them to fix the problem. And the ones that are having fraudulent complaints put against them, something needs to be done to discourage that from happening. And I think if we break these up into 3 categories and go after the fraudulent guys that are doing things wrong knowingly and hammer the snot out of them, I think that number will dwindle quickly.
I think it's an interesting element, this idea that they're going to really promote education. So that I think the idea being maybe we can fix those ones in advance. And that's certainly in regulation in general. That's what you want, is you want to try and fix the fixable. Gotcha. And if it's possible to do that through education, if it's possible to do that through that sort of support, then that's a real win, even just that.
And I don't feel like these guys
right now with ADP. To the tune of about $60,000. For me, that's a lot of money.
Sure.
And so when you talk about minimum wage, a lot of the big employers I hear that people don't think much of, McDonald's, Target, Walmart, they're all paying higher than minimum wage. And they have very specific payroll procedures. Merritt Allen has one firm, 20 employees, and ADP. And when they make a mistake, and it was on my tax payments, it's a lot for me to recover not only their error, but also make good with the tax agencies. So Dan's point about, and your point about education, a lot of employers want to do the right thing, and it's so complex we can't.
I just don't like the fact that this is my opinion, that I get it that there's a problem out there, and there are people that are being wronged, and they should be addressed. Sure. It just seems like these guys in this issue are running forward like they're Robin Hood, instead of stepping forward and saying, hold on, there is a problem, and we are going to go after the bad actors, but we're also going to work with the people that have a misunderstanding and help them get up to speed. I think right now every employer, when you see these messages come from the administration or from the Secretary McCamley, I think employers' sphincters tighten and they just recoil and they're like, man, we're going to get in trouble. And I think that's bad for business.
Last word, Michael. A network of 20 offices statewide, better able to serve remote communities, and those 2 employees, extra employees. Is that enough? I mean, he's talking about a huge stack here. Only 2 more employees? Wouldn't you think this would be a little more vigor to?
I don't think that it's going to be enough, but I think it's a start, and I think it's a conservative start, especially considering that they're asking, for a certain amount of money to get this done.
There you go. I have to wrap it up for us this week. Thanks for all our panelists, certainly, for their work getting up to speed on our issues.